Alright. So we've received several packages. The first one is this one from Japan that I ordered for myself. And although it's a very nice looking box with one of those Japanese shipping labels on it, it's sort of disingenuous because I already unboxed it. The actual thing I received is this, which is the Casio MX-10. This is one of the MSX computers, one of the worst ones ever made as far as I can tell. I bought it for $7.50 from a guy in Japan, and presumably, given how eBay calculates shipping, he probably lost money on the deal. But he was nice and pleasant to me in the seller review, so I can't be too mad about it. So this thing is in fairly terrible condition. It's missing the cartridge cover here, though I don't really care about that. It didn't come with a power supply, but it takes 9 volts, so I don't really care about that. And it doesn't have RGB out, but I only want this for playing video games on other people's televisions, so I don't really care about that. It also has a cover on the back, and I can't figure out from the MSX wiki what this is for, because I didn't think this thing had a second cartridge port on it, but I will never know because I can't get it off. Without breaking it, I think. So that will live in mystery. These are the worst keys I have ever seen on any computing device in my life. They are so small. This is my finger. It is very difficult to type on this. I haven't actually plugged it in yet, but these are the rubber chiclet keys, which are the worst type of computer keyboard keys ever made, so even if I could type on them, they wouldn't be very pleasant to type on. Trying to type on this is an exercise in frustration, I can tell already. But it's a video game system, so who cares? And at least the joystick buttons are nice and big. And unlike my other MSX, it has access to both joystick buttons directly. So, again, the only reason I got it was basically so I could play games at other people's houses, for which I think this one will do fine, especially considering it's an MSX1. So, indeed, probably one of the worst MSXs ever. Certainly the worst one I own, although out of 2, that's not saying much. The much more interesting and promising package we received was a whole kit of games for the Neo Geo, which Daria ordered. We have Aero Fight. Is this a shmup? What is this?
I think it's a shmup, and it's actually Aero Fighters 2.
Oh, okay.
But this is one of those sight unseen games. It's a name that I know is a Neo Geo game, but that's about it.
I notice it says shots and special weapons, so it sounds like a shmup.
It's probably a shmup.
It then says fighters moves, and honestly, this sounds like it might be one of those flying through space person shmups.
Yeah.
So, it's unfortunate it's not one of the translucent cases, so we can't see the truly prodigious number of ROMs inside, but
I also can't tell if it's a bootleg or not at this point.
It could be a bootleg, given that label.
Well, we'll discuss that later.
So the next one, however, has legitimacy. Puzzle Bobble stands out as being the game with the longest single musical track that I've ever heard. At least the SNES version only has one song, which plays for 99 stages. It doesn't stop, it doesn't repeat, it doesn't begin or end. It continues when you die, it continues when you change levels, it continues no matter what. The song never, ever, ever ends. And if the arcade version is any different, I'll eat my hat. But we'll find out later. This is one of the most universally beloved games in history, despite the fact that it's just sort of a weird Tetris knockoff. And it does look like it should glow in the dark, but I really doubt that it does. And then we have, of course, if you own a Neo Geo and you don't own one of these, your collection isn't complete yet. Everybody calls this KOF, which suggests King of Fighters, but that's completely inaccurate. The correct name is The King of Fighters, obviously. This is the best King of Fighters. There are 700 of them, and this is the best one. We already have Guru Mark of the Wolf, so we had to get that too. There are also 700 of these. This is the 4th one, which is as good as and nearly identical to all the others, which means that it's a perfectly good purchase. We could have gotten 1 or 2 or 3 or 9 or 50 or 300. It would have been the same game anyway. So it's just as well we got this one. I've already had several of these, so this makes the collection considerably more complete. And at this point, really, it's reaching a level of completeness that I think is a landmark, because we can no longer store all of them in any shelf anywhere in the house. Eventually, they'll sprawl so much we won't be able to store them in the house at all. They'll need their own storage unit. We also have a gadget. This is a DIP, full-size DIP, to SOIC converter, which is used for jimmying in the weird third-party ROM that everybody uses for the BIOS on their home Neo Geos. It has these two bodge wires for... Is this power supply? Do you know?
It's probably power. I can't remember exactly what they're for.
It says CE and OE, which is presumably Operation Enable and Serial Enable. Anyway.
Yeah.
And what's that BIOS Enable? What's it let you do?
So, the big thing between it is it allows you to switch between the home version and the arcade version of the Neo Geo ROM that you're playing. And this is important because essentially the arcade carts and the home carts, though their PCBs are slightly different, they're functionally the same game. So if you want to play the home version or the Japanese version or something or the other, you could select that using this BIOS. It also has a built-in cheat engine, it has built-in sound debugging, and it has a developer mode as well, where you can go and fuck with a bunch of shit you probably shouldn't.
What's the difference between the home and arcade versions?
The home version, you start with 4 credits, and I think it doesn't have the winners don't use drug sprawl for the US versions.
I'm not seeing a reason you would ever use the home version.
Uh,
What's the point of playing the game if you don't get that beautiful FBI banner? Also, I got this at the thrift store recently. I would say I don't know what it is, and that's close to true in that I don't know what it is inside, but I do know it's a video game. And if you've been in America for any length of time as a child, you probably already realize this has to be a Power Rangers toy, and indeed it is. It's Power Rangers licensed on the back, and Daria, being a gigantic dork, immediately assumed that it was from Time Rangers, which seems to be accurate because the only information I could find online is from an eBay listing that says it's from Time Rangers. So it takes batteries, and it obviously has a D-pad and an A and a B and a start, so it's obviously a video game, but the output is via one of these guys, so I'm going to have to bodge together a cable to try that out. I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably be the only person with a video of this terrible thing, whatever it is. But there are suspicions that I have, based on things I've seen on the internet, that this could be motion controlled.
it looks motion controlled.
It has a D-pad, but it does look motion controlled. It even has a trigger, but it doesn't trig. Alright, so hopefully we'll have videos of all of the above later.